She was my sister, my childhood best friend, the one I protected through everything. But when her wedding came, I wasn't invited. At first, I thought it was a mistake, until I found out the truth. She said she wanted peace on her big day, and my presence brought tension. I realized then that sometimes, love isn't lost, it's simply unreturned. This story is about heartbreak without romance, the pain of family rejection, and the quiet power of walking away when you finally understand your place in someone else's story. Hear this. I used to think the worst kind of heartbreak came from losing someone you loved romantically. I was wrong. The worst kind comes when someone you die for decides you're not worth remembering. When the person you protected your entire life rewrites history and casts you as the villain. My sister didn't invite me to her wedding. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Then I thought it was a misunderstanding. Then I found out the truth. She didn't want me there. She said my presence brought tension, that she needed peace on her big day. But here's what she really meant. I reminded her of a past she wanted to erase. And sometimes, no matter how much you love someone, you can't compete with the person they're trying to become. Welcome to my Reddit diaries, where every story reveals the unseen battles within families. Don't forget to subscribe, and tell me in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? There's a memory I keep coming back to. I must have been 10 years old, maybe 11. Emma was 7. We were in our backyard, that patch of dried grass behind our rental house where the fence was missing 2 boards and you could see into the neighbor's yard. The sun was setting, turning everything orange and gold, and Emma was crying on the porch steps. Some girls at school had been cruel to her. I don't even remember what they said anymore, just that it was enough to make my little sister come home with red eyes and a trembling chin. I walked over, took off my jacket even though it was cold, and wrapped it around her shoulders. I'll always protect you, I told her. That's what big brothers do. She looked up at me with those wide eyes, still wet with tears, and nodded. She believed me. And I meant it. Every single word. I just didn't know that one day, she'd need protection from me. My name is David. I'm 32 now, work as a marketing consultant for a firm in the city. I'm single, live in a decent apartment 2 hours from my hometown, and by most measures, I've done okay for myself. My sister Emma is 29. She's engaged to a guy named Marcus, who comes from money, works in finance, and has the kind of family that summers in the Hamptons and winters in Aspen. Our parents divorced when we were teenagers. Dad struggled with alcoholism for years after that. Mom remarried someone stable, someone Emma loved. I stayed close to Dad, helped him through rehab, drove him to AA meetings, made sure he didn't fall apart completely. Emma chose Mom's side. I understood. We were kids dealing with adult problems in our own ways. But I thought we'd healed from all that. We texted regularly. We did holidays together. We had inside jokes that nobody else understood. She was still my little sister. Or so I believed. 3 months before her wedding, Emma posted her engagement photos on social media. They were beautiful, professional, the kind you see in magazines. Her and Marcus on a beach at sunset, both of them glowing. I commented congratulations with a few celebratory emojis. She replied with a single word, thanks. No emoji. No exclamation point. Just thanks. I brushed it off. She was busy. Wedding planning is stressful. I'd seen enough romantic comedies to know that much. A week later, I called her to offer help. Through my work, I'd connected with some great vendors, venues, caterers. I thought maybe I could save her some money or at least point her in the right direction. Hey Em, congratulations again. I wanted to see if you needed any help with wedding stuff. I know some people who could. Marcus's family has it handled. Her voice was polite but distant, like I was a telemarketer she was trying to get off the phone. Oh. Well, if you need anything, I'm here. I know. Thanks. The conversation lasted maybe 90 seconds. When I hung up, I felt something I couldn't quite name. A small crack forming in the foundation of something I'd always thought was solid. But I told myself I was overthinking it. Emma was busy. Marcus's family was involved. This was normal. 6 weeks before the wedding, everything changed. I was at a coffee shop, working on a campaign pitch, when my phone buzzed. It was Jake, a childhood friend who'd somehow ended up as one of Marcus's groomsmen through a mutual college connection. Hey man, random question. What are you wearing to the wedding? I'm trying to figure out if I need a new suit or if the navy one works. I laughed. Haven't decided yet. Why? Is there a dress code? There was a pause on the other end. A long one. Wait, you got your invitation, right? My stomach dropped. Not fell. Dropped. Like someone had cut the cord on an elevator. What do you mean? The wedding invitation. David, please tell me you got it. When did they go out? Another pause. 2 weeks ago. Everyone got them 2 weeks ago. I sat there in that coffee shop, my laptop screen going dark in front of me, people chattering around me about nothing, and I couldn't breathe properly. It probably got lost in the mail, I said. You know how the post office is? Yeah, probably. But Jake didn't sound convinced. For 3 days, I checked my mailbox obsessively. I went through my spam folder. I called the post office to see if something had been misdelivered. I convinced myself it was a clerical error, a mistake, an oversight that would be corrected any minute. On the 4th day, I called Emma. She didn't answer. I left a voicemail. Hey, it's me. I think there was a mix-up with the wedding invitation. Can you just text me the details so I can get it on my calendar? Love you. She texted back 6 hours later. Can we talk about this later? Later. Not yes. Not of course. Later. 2 more days passed. I called again. This time she answered. Emma, I just need to know when the wedding is so I can. You're not invited. The world went completely silent. I could see my reflection in my apartment window, phone pressed to my ear, and I looked exactly the same as I had 5 seconds ago. But everything had changed. What? You're not invited to the wedding. Her voice was hard now, defensive. I need my wedding day to be peaceful. You bring tension. Tension? Emma, what are you talking about? I don't understand. You know what you did. I can't do this right now. I have a dress fitting. Emma, wait. She hung up. I sat there for an hour. Maybe 2. I replayed every conversation we'd had in the past year. Every text message. Every family dinner. I searched for the moment I'd ruined everything and couldn't find it. What had I done? Was it something I said? A joke that landed wrong? Did I offend Marcus somehow? I texted our cousin Rachel. No response. I texted our aunt. She replied, I think you should talk to Emma about this. Called Mom. She sighed deeply, the way she did when she didn't want to get involved. It's complicated, David. What's complicated? I'm her brother. I know, honey. But this is Emma's wedding. If she's made this decision, we need to respect it. You're okay with this? Another sigh. I'm not getting in the middle of this. Dad was furious when I told him. That's ridiculous. You've done nothing but support that girl your entire life. But Dad wasn't invited either, so his outrage felt hollow, like we were both on the same sinking ship. Late that night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed scrolling through old photos on my phone, looking for clues. There was Emma's college graduation where I'd been late because of a work emergency. There was the Christmas where I'd mentioned Dad was doing better in his recovery and Emma had gone quiet. There was her birthday party 2 years ago where I'd asked if she was sure about Marcus after only dating him for 6 months. Were these crimes? Were these reasons to erase me? I opened my screenshots folder, the random collection of memes and conversations I'd saved over the years. And there it was. A screenshot from 8 months ago. Our family group chat, the one where we'd planned Christmas. Me, Rachel, Aunt Linda. 15 people total. I opened my messaging app and searched for that same group chat. It was still there. But the last message was from 10 months ago. That's when I realized. Emma had created a new family group chat. And I wasn't in it. I went back to her Instagram, really looking this time instead of just scrolling. Her engagement party had happened 2 months ago. Balloons, champagne, matching outfits. I'd never heard about it. In the comments, relatives I'd known my entire life were congratulating her. Aunt Linda. Cousin Rachel. Even my own mother. I scrolled further. Birthday posts. Holiday photos. Marcus's family events. A whole life documented in real time that I'd been systematically edited out of. I wasn't just uninvited to the wedding. I'd already been erased. I just hadn't been told yet. I set my phone down and stared at the ceiling. Somewhere in the distance, a dog was barking. A car alarm went off and then stopped. The world kept moving like nothing had happened. But something had. I understood it now with brutal clarity. I wasn't losing my sister. I'd already lost her. I just hadn't been told. I couldn't let it go. Some people can walk away from unanswered questions. They can accept that some things don't make sense and move on with their lives. I'm not one of those people. I needed to understand why. Not so I could fix it. Not so I could change her mind. I just needed to know what I'd done to deserve being erased. My Aunt Linda has always been the truth teller in our family. She's Mom's older sister, the one who says what everyone else is thinking but too polite to voice. If anyone would give me a straight answer, it would be her. I texted her. Can we meet for coffee? I need to understand what's happening with Emma. She didn't reply for 2 days. When she finally did, it was just an address and a time. We met at a small cafe on the edge of town. Linda was already there when I arrived, stirring her coffee in slow circles even though she takes it black. She looked uncomfortable. I shouldn't be doing this, she said before I even sat down. I just need to know what I did. She stared into her cup for a long time. Then she looked up at me with something like pity in her eyes. She's been collecting grievances. For years. What does that mean? She has a list, David. In her phone. Every time she felt you hurt her, she wrote it down. I felt something cold settle in my chest. A list. The time you missed her college graduation because of that work crisis. When you couldn't help pay for her study abroad trip. How you stayed close with your dad after the divorce. That Christmas you brought up his recovery at dinner. When you questioned whether Marcus was right for her when they first started dating. Linda paused. She's been keeping score. I sat back in my chair. Each item on that invisible list had an explanation. The work crisis had saved my career. I couldn't afford the study abroad trip because I was drowning in my own student loans. I stayed close to Dad because someone had to make sure he didn't drink himself to death. I mentioned his recovery because I was proud of him. I questioned Marcus because I wanted my sister to be happy. But none of that mattered, did it? Because Emma had decided these were betrayals. There's more, Linda said quietly. Marcus's family is very particular about image. Old money, conservative values, the whole thing. They've been asking Emma about her estranged brother. I'm not estranged. Or I wasn't. I know. But that's how she's framed it. She's told them you're unstable. That you caused problems. That you made your father's alcoholism worse. Linda's voice dropped. She's rewriting the story, David. She needed a villain to justify her new life, and you were convenient. The words hit me like physical blows. Unstable. Problems. Made it worse. I'd spent years helping Dad get sober. I'd missed job opportunities to drive him to meetings. I talked him down from the ledge more times than I could count. Why would she do this? Because Marcus's family needed to understand why she was cutting off half her relatives. She couldn't just say she wanted a fresh start. So she gave them a reason. She gave them you. I thanked Linda and left. I don't remember the drive home. 2 days later, Jake texted me. Can we talk? In person? We met at a bar downtown. Jake was already 3 beers in when I arrived, and I could tell from his face that whatever he was about to say had been eating at him. I heard something at the rehearsal dinner, he said. Marcus's family was talking about you. What did they say? His mother said something like, thank God Emma had the strength to cut out the toxic people. And everyone nodded. Like it was this understood thing. Jake looked down at his beer. Emma was sitting right there. She didn't correct them. She just nodded along. I ordered a drink I didn't want and didn't touch. I wanted to say something, man. But I'm just the groomsman. It wasn't my place. Jake's voice was thick. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. But the image wouldn't leave my head. My sister sitting at a table full of strangers, letting them call me toxic, nodding in agreement. Choosing their version of me over the truth. The next morning, I got a text from my younger cousin Sophie. She's 20, still in college, and she's always looked up to me. The message said, I'm not supposed to show you this, but I think you need to see it. She sent a screenshot from the family group chat. The one I wasn't in. Emma had written, I know some of you think I should invite David, but this is MY Day. I deserve to be surrounded by people who support me unconditionally. He's always made everything about him. I'm finally choosing me. The message had 12 likes, including one from my mother. Below it, Mom had replied, we support your decision, sweetheart. With a heart emoji. I read it 3 times. Then I set my phone down and walked out onto my balcony. It was raining, the kind of steady rain that doesn't stop, doesn't build to anything dramatic, just continues with gray persistence. My sister thought I made everything about me. My mother supported her erasing me from the family. Relatives I'd known my entire life had liked that message, agreeing that I was the problem, that Emma deserved better than having me at her wedding. I thought about every sacrifice I'd made. Every time I'd put Emma first. Every time I'd protected her, helped her, celebrated her successes. And somehow, in her mind, I'd been making it all about me. Maybe I had. Maybe trying to help someone who doesn't want your help is just another form of selfishness. Maybe loving someone too much can look like control if they're desperate enough to pull away. Or maybe people rewrite history to match the story they need to tell themselves. I stood there in the rain for a long time, watching the city lights blur through the water. And that's when I made my decision. I was going to the wedding. Not to cause a scene. Not to beg for an invitation. But to see it with my own eyes. To witness the version of Emma that existed without me. To understand if there was anything left to save, or if I was mourning someone who'd stopped existing a long time ago. I was a ghost in her story. But ghosts have a way of appearing when you least expect them. I booked a hotel near the venue and bought a suit I couldn't afford. 3 days until the wedding. The venue was exactly what I expected. An elegant garden estate with white chairs arranged in perfect rows, string lights hanging from trees that probably cost more to rent than my monthly salary, and wealth displayed in that subtle way that only old money knows how to do. Everything was beautiful. Everything was perfect. I arrived early and stayed in the back, hidden behind a stone pillar near the garden entrance. Guests filtered in wearing designer suits and dresses that whispered expensive with every movement. I recognized some faces from Emma's social media. Marcus's family. Her new friends. People I'd never met. Not a single person from Dad's side of the family was there. The music started. Everyone stood. And then Emma appeared at the end of the aisle. She looked beautiful. Of course she did. Her dress was elegant, fitted, the kind you see in bridal magazines. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup was flawless. She smiled as she walked, and it was the kind of smile I'd seen her practice in mirrors when we were kids, the one she used when she wanted people to think everything was fine. But it wasn't her real smile. The wild, uncontrolled laugh that used to burst out of her when something was genuinely funny. The smile that crinkled her whole face. That smile wasn't there. She looked like a stranger wearing my sister's face. I watched the ceremony from my hiding spot. Emma and Marcus exchanged vows they'd written themselves. She talked about overcoming adversity, about choosing her own path, about leaving behind what no longer served her. Marcus's family nodded approvingly. My mother dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. Every word felt like it was about me. The adversity. The things left behind. The choices made. The ceremony ended. Everyone moved to the reception area. I followed at a distance, still invisible, still a ghost. Dinner was served. Speeches began. Marcus's best man gave a polished toast about how proud he was of Marcus for finding someone strong enough to rise above her difficult past. People laughed at his jokes and raised their glasses. Then Marcus's sister stood up. She was Emma's maid of honor, which told me everything I needed to know about who Emma had become. The speech started sweet, talking about how they'd bonded, how Emma was now part of their family. Then she said it. I admire Emma's bravery in cutting toxic family ties. It takes real strength to choose yourself. The room applauded. They actually applauded. I watched my sister smile and nod, accepting praise for erasing me. I couldn't stay hidden anymore. I walked toward the family table where Emma sat with our mother and several relatives. My footsteps felt loud even though the music was playing. Emma saw me before I reached the table. Her face went white, then immediately flushed red. What are you doing here? Heads turned. Conversations stopped. The music kept playing, but everything else went silent. I just wanted to understand why. My voice came out calmer than I felt. Emma stood up, her chair scraping against the ground. You need to leave. Now. Marcus appeared beside her, protective, confused. Emma, who is this? Her brother, I said. Marcus's eyes widened. He looked at Emma, then back at me, trying to reconcile whatever she'd told him with the person standing in front of him. Sir, this is a private event, Marcus started, but Emma cut him off. I told you not to come. I told you I needed this day to be peaceful. And I needed to know what I did that was so terrible you had to pretend I don't exist. You abandoned Dad. Her voice was rising now, cracking. You made me feel guilty for protecting myself. The entire reception was watching us now. This was the scene Emma had feared, the disruption she tried to prevent by uninviting me. And here we were, living it. I stayed with Dad because he was sick. My voice was quiet, steady. Because he needed help. Not to hurt you. I never asked you to forgive him. I only asked you to stop punishing me for trying. You don't understand, Emma said, and tears were starting now, mascara beginning to run. You don't understand what it was like. Then explain it to me. Because I've spent weeks trying to figure out what I did, and the only answer I can find is that I reminded you of things you wanted to forget. Before Emma could respond, my mother stood up. She looked between us, tears streaming down her face. Emma turned to her, expecting support, expecting Mom to tell me to leave. But Mom looked at Emma and said, Honey, this has gone too far. Mom. Emma's voice was small, betrayed. Your brother gave up job opportunities to help your father get sober. He paid for some of those rehab sessions himself. He never asked you to forgive your dad. He never made you choose. Mom's voice was shaking. And you've rewritten all of it to make him the villain. Emma's perfect facade was crumbling. The carefully constructed story she'd told Marcus's family, the narrative she'd built to justify her choices, it was all falling apart in front of everyone. You were a reminder, Emma whispered, looking at me, of everything I wanted to forget. The broken home. Dad's drinking. Being poor. Feeling helpless. She was openly crying now. Marcus's family offered me a fresh start. But they needed to know why I was cutting people off. So I gave them a reason. I gave them you. There was. The truth I'd already known but needed to hear her say. I stood there looking at my sister, really seeing her. She wasn't evil. She wasn't a monster. She was scared and running from a past that hurt her, and I was collateral damage in her escape. I could forgive her right now. I could make peace in front of all these people. I could be the bigger person and let her have her perfect day. But something in me had changed. I hope you find peace, Emma. I really do. I meant it. But I can't be part of a story where I'm the villain just so you can be the hero. I looked at her, my little sister who I'd protected on that porch step so many years ago. I protected you our whole lives. But I can't protect you from yourself. I love you. But I'm done disappearing. I turned and walked away. Behind me, I heard Emma crying, heard the murmur of confused guests, heard my mother trying to calm things down. But I kept walking. Through the garden, past the string lights, out to the parking lot where my car waited. I drove back to the city that night. Didn't stay for the hotel I'd booked. Just drove with the windows down and the radio off, letting the silence settle around me. The next morning, I woke up on my couch where I'd collapsed fully clothed. My phone had messages. Dad had texted, "Proud of you, son." Sophie had sent, "You did the right thing." A few other cousins had reached out privately, saying they wished they'd been braver. Nothing from Emma. Nothing from Mom, though that one hurt less than I expected. I made coffee and walked out onto my balcony. The sun was rising, turning the sky pink and orange, and for the first time in months, I felt something other than heaviness. I felt light. They say blood is thicker than water. But the full quote is, "The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb." It means the family you choose is stronger than the family you're born into. My sister chose her new life. Her new story. And that's okay. Because I finally chose myself. Here's what I learned. Sometimes love isn't lost. It's just not enough. And that's the hardest truth of all. You can't make someone see you. You can only decide if you'll keep standing in the shadows, waiting for them to turn around. I'm done waiting. If this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button. There are more stories like this one, real battles happening in families everywhere. And maybe, just maybe, hearing them helps us feel a little less alone. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm, even if that someone is family. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let them go. And the bravest thing you can do is save yourself. That's my story. Thanks for listening.